This should be a good place to fight.
Wow, Kisara! It's so big!
You're talking about my shield, right?
You guys have no idea how hard it was to keep my mouth shut about this for weeks. It was crazy. I knew about Kisara and Dohalim way before they were announced. I just wanted so badly to talk about absolutely everything I experienced. So yes, I have played it, I have a million things to talk about, I possess many answers to the questions I already know you have. It's finally time to get really, truly excited for Tales of Arise. Where do I even start? I guess I should say that unlike the Scarlet Nexus preview, where I was able to simply play the first 3 hours of the full game, this Tales of Arise preview was something put together specifically for this. The game is obviously not finished yet, and there are things they've yet to announce or reveal, so this section was carved out and customized to show off things like the combat, graphics, world structure, and a myriad of other little details. The footage in this video was provided by Bandai Namco as capture wasn't allowed, but it does exactly represent my experience, apart from this little screen here where Dohalim and Kisara are grayed out. They were available in the build I played. Also, this screen won't be in the final game, it was just used to select which character you wanted to control in combat from the start of the preview. You can change the character you control both in and out of combat, which I did, and I actually may have played the preview build through to the end more than once, but keep that on the down low. What it means though is that I did have the opportunity to try out all 6 characters in combat. Alphen is like the all-rounder. He predominantly fights in melee range with a sword, but does have some longer range arts as well. He fights well on both the ground and in mid-air. Xion is the main healer and also provides long-range damage with her gun and astral arts. Rinwell is very much a mage. She is a long-range damage dealer who fights predominantly with astral arts, but we'll delve a little deeper into that shortly. Law is a more specialized melee fighter who lets his fists do the talking, though they are covered in gauntlets. He's quicker than Alphen and more acrobatic, and more focused on high single target damage. Dohalim is a very interesting character in combat. He's a kind of mid-range damage dealer and backup healer. His weapon, a rod, which I definitely would have called a staff, has a longer melee range than Alphen's sword and Law's gauntlets, and his combat perk further extends the range of his staff after you perform a perfect dodge. He also has a few astral arts which allow him to heal the party in a pinch. Kisara has a big ass, shield, and is quite obviously a more defensive tanky character. Her weapon archetype is referred to as hammer and shield, but just understand that hammer in this instance is simply standing in for one-handed bludgeoning weapon. Kisara is another interesting character in combat, especially in Arise where generally the way you avoid damage is by dodging. Kisara makes good use of that shield to block rather than dodge. She can dish out plenty of damage too, don't let her tanky appearance fool you. The combat in Arise is honestly the best it has ever felt. I loved Exilia's system, I appreciated the more simplistic systems in Symphonia and Vesperia, and I like pretty much all the others, but Arise is on a different level. It's stylish, it's fun, it's highly interactive, intuitive. You know those videos where someone gets like a 200 hit combo with a single character in whatever Tales game and everybody is like, I've been playing Tales wrong, or I didn't even know this was possible. Well, Tales of Arise is as clean and satisfying as that without having to pre-plan a string of 58 specific arts against a specific enemy with the right hitbox and enough HP. 3 of the face buttons are bound to arts. You have different arts for when you're on the ground and when you're mid-air. The other face button is used to jump. The right trigger is dodge and you can perform normal attacks with the right bumper. The normal attack combo limit starts at 3 but can be increased as you progress through the game. Using arts consumes your art gauge. Each art has a different cost, but as long as you are not exceeding the AG, there are no restrictions on how many arts can be used and they don't need to be used in a specific order. Now when the first proper combat footage was revealed, I thought the directional buttons were used to switch the character you were controlling, but those are actually how you use boost attacks. Each character in the party, including the reserve members, are able to have their boost attacks used in combat. They deal damage and sometimes have special effects or are particularly effective against a certain type of enemy. Using one will also replenish your art gauge by a set amount. After use they go on cooldown. So the basic combat loop is stringing together normal attacks, arts, and boost attacks while paying close attention to the enemy attacks and dodging when needed. Some arts will indicate that they put you in a mid-air state at the end, and some mid-air arts will indicate they send you and the enemy back down to the ground. The combo possibilities are endless, and it's super fun. Each character has a combat perk which makes each of their playstyles feel different. Alphen can continue holding one of the art buttons after use to perform special arts using the Blazing Sword. These look to be mostly AoE or wide range arts designed to hit multiple enemies, but you lose HP when you use them. Rinwell can charge and store arts, allowing her to unleash multiple arts all at once and create special combos and combination arts. Kisara's perk is tied to blocking, so while other characters evade enemy attacks, Kisara blocks them, and successfully blocking attacks has a few different effects like increasing her damage resistance. Dohalim's perk extends the range of his weapon and increases his crit chance after every perfect dodge. And to be honest, I can't remember what Xion and Law's perks were, but they reinforce a particular playstyle just like all of the others. In addition to HP and AG, the arts gauge, there is also another resource. Cure Points. This is a limited resource like mana that is specifically used for healing arts and abilities. It's a shared pool between all party members and persists both in and out of combat. Boost strikes, which are very powerful finishing moves, can be performed using the directional buttons when prompted. The lower the health of the enemy, the more likely it is a boost strike prompt will appear. Each one involves 2 party members and they play a nice little scene like a Mystic Art. Mystic Arts, to the best of my knowledge, were not available in the preview, so I'm not sure how they fit into the combat yet, but they do exist. Default movement is free running, but the traditional control methods of the linear motion battle system are here. Manual gives you complete control over the character, semi-auto will move you toward an enemy and line them up when you perform an attack, and auto allows the AI to do everything, but you can still issue commands in this mode without breaking the auto control. I think this is a great way to handle it for accessibility. It's a versatile mode that lets you focus on the combat elements that you want to or are able to. If you only have the use of one hand, for example, you can just focus on attacking and comboing while the AI handles movement and evasion. Or you could handle the movement and evasion yourself while letting the AI do all the attacking. Phew, and that's combat explained, for the most part, anyway. There is a skill system of some kind in the game, but that part of the menu was disabled for the preview. Something else that was deliberately disabled for the preview was the skit system. They seem to be planning to reveal them as one of the last big surprises. Now, remember in one of my previous videos when I said that the removal of victory screens after battles wasn't really that big a deal because there would be plenty of opportunities to insert fun animations and interactions like them elsewhere in the game? Well, I didn't know just how right I was going to be on that one, and it turns out very. There is tons of chatter between the characters while you're out in the world, and not just a handful of the same generic lines. You might hear a few of the post-battle lines more than once, but lines specific to the area or the field map and the ones that happen while you're just out walking around do not seem to repeat. It just looks like there is a huge amount of fully voiced, unique character interactions happening all the time, and I absolutely love it. In addition to that is the camping and cooking system. Stopping to camp has character interactions of its own. You can rewatch cutscenes and skits while at the camp too, though none were actually available in the preview. And cooking while at the camp restores HP, cure points, and depending on what you choose to cook, can have other bonuses. Cooking is also where they've inserted fun scenes that used to take place in victory screens. Each character has a bunch of different little cooking scenes. Okay, I've really got to get a move on here because this is turning into one hell of a long video, so let's go. Changing your equipment, at least in terms of your weapon, is visible on the characters. There is also an outfits menu, but it was unavailable in the preview. You craft accessories using materials you find out in the world. Enemies also drop resources which can be used for crafting. The game is absolutely gorgeous. It's a very stylized look and it delivers on the goal of wanting the background details to fade into something that resembles a watercolor painting. The field maps are very large and much more sprawling than previous entries in the series. They're also actually fun to explore this time round. You can jump, dive, swim, and there are usually multiple different paths you can take to the next objective. They aren't quite as large as Dragon Quest XI's field maps, but they are much more densely packed and interesting. The field maps and areas all string together, and rather than giving you some generic backdrop, they do give you an accurate view of where you are in the world. You can see other areas and towns and landmarks. It's almost like that open world quote, if you can see to it, you can go to it, but it's just not an open world in this case. And is that everything? I think that's everything. I just absolutely loved it. I was blown away by everything I experienced. It's already looking like the combat in Tales of Arise will be my favorite of the series. The way the characters interact and talk to each other while out in the world is the best part of Zestiria, dialed up to 11 and made even better. The world is actually genuinely fun to explore. The characters themselves, which I barely even talked about in a narrative sense, are so great. There is something to love about all of them.
I'm a big-time Simfishiona.
Everything looks so beautiful and so unique. This really is a huge step forward for the series. Like I said, I absolutely loved it, and there is still so much more to experience and other stuff that hasn't even been revealed yet. I honestly don't know if it's possible for me to be more excited for a game than I am for Tales of Arise. I hope you're all excited too, and fingers crossed the wait until September 10th won't be as long as I think it's going to feel. Give this video a like if you think the wait will be unbearable, subscribe and all that jazz, and other than that, I'll see you all soon.
We got some good equipment!
I can't say its appearance is to my tastes, personally.
You can never be too prepared. But did we have to spend so much?
Looks like trouble with a capital T! Together we got this!
Get out of my sight line or you'll get hit!
Right,
Now.
thanks!
This ends now!